All right, engine compartment, 1969 Plymouth GTX, not a Roadrunner, a GTX convertible. On top of everything else, it's a convertible. This is a numbers correct car from top to bottom, front to back. It is just the way it left the factory in 1969. It has the correct cast iron exhaust manifolds on it, the original Presto Light distributor, original cast iron intake manifold, the original AVS carburetor that came with it. It's a 323 gear car. It has a 24-inch radiator in it, standard radiator. Original style, it's probably not the original, but the washer bottle for the washer fluid. Correct valve pan covers. You can see the engine is just completely freshened up. Everything's been painted and just completely done the way it should be. Original style alternator on it. The car does have power steering, does not have power brakes, does have power steering, however. The correct filler top style, look-wise, Mopar battery that would have come in this vehicle in 1969. Correct breather cap for their closed loop system that they did for the PCV. The header panel has the serial number still on it, it's still intact. Also the fender tag has all the designation for the options of the vehicle, which also there's a breakdown of that. And Devin will give you pictures of the engine, the transmission, the tags, everything on this vehicle showing its originality. Again, the core support's never been disrupted in any way. All the stickers, all the designation under the hood is still just the way it was in 1969 when it was released. 7-blade fixed fan on it. It has no leaks whatsoever. Not on the valve pan covers. Well, the intake doesn't, there's no way it could leak, that's impossible. Timing chain cover in the front, at least on top, we'll see, get a better look once we get it underneath. But the inner fender panels are painted the color of the vehicle, the way it should be for a Mopar. They didn't do them flat black or semi-flat black like Ford or General Motors did. They painted them the same color as the vehicle, same as the under hood. Has an optional underhood pad. The front seal to keep the air going through the radiator, not up over the radiator. The seals on the core support is still nice and intact and nice and resilient, nice fresh. Where normally you'll find that these things are deteriorated up in here from water laying in it, this car has absolutely no deterioration. Just the way it was when it left the factory in 1969. It has a 2-speed wiper motor on it. Conventional ignition. No one's made an attempt to go ahead and put an electronic system on this, so it does have a point system still intact on it, from what I can see anyway, without getting into the distributor. Can't really tell. It has the original fuel line still bent the way it was in 1969 and still intact. I don't see anything on this vehicle that does not reek originality. Dual horns on it. No marks whatsoever in the front of the car on the radiator support or the radiator itself. It all looks just the way it would have in 1969 had you taken delivery of this vehicle. Correct air cleaner with the correct Super Commando 440 designation on it. These motors made an advertised 375 horsepower, which was really grossly underrated. They were right at 400 horsepower easily. They produced a lot of torque. It wasn't so much RPMs with Mopar, it was more torque. Where Chevy tried to spin their motors a little bit higher to get the horsepower out of them, like their L78s and stuff, you know, those are 6,500 RPM motors. These motors made their horsepower at about 5,200, and they produced their torque down a little bit lower, actually about 4,700 RPMs. So it was able to move a large mass, 35 to 4,000 pound car, a lot quicker without producing a lot of RPM or engine wear. And that's why a lot of these cars still retain their original engines. It's a motor that survived the test of time. They were a fantastic producer, horsepower-wise, for Chrysler Corporation, and they used them exclusively in the GTXs. GTX only came with 2 engines. It came with a 440 or it came with a 426 Hemi. Never came with a 383 or anything else. This guy still retains all its originality under the hood. Just the way we got this car, it's absolute show quality. We're going to go over the rest of it and show it to you. Hi, you're at Hanksters in Daytona Beach, Florida. And today we're going to present to you a kind of a rare vehicle. It's a 1969 Plymouth Gtx, but it's not a conventional GTX. This guy got a top that goes down. Very rare car. They made very few of them in convertibles. The only other option was a hardtop. They never made a post in a GTX. You either got a hardtop or you got a convertible. And again, most of them were hardtop cars. And we have one of those too in a 4-speed that we're going to be presenting to you shortly. But this guy is an automatic with a top that goes down and just an exemplary car. So we're going to go over it with you and show you everything that we can on it. First time I've got a chance to really take a look at it, and it's just the way we got it. Jeff washed this thing, tiled it down, and that's what you're looking at. Didn't have to buff it, glaze it, nothing. It came out of a private collection, and this is the way this car retained its originality from day one. Okay, obviously the paint is not what came in it in 1969. It doesn't look like it was put on with a roller and a brush. This is a very, very nice paint job. It's certainly not driver quality. It's certainly above a driver quality. It does have the optional black racing stripes on it. They're like a satin black finish. About 1/8 of an inch gap the whole way around the hood. You can see all up around the cowl area. And fender to hood on this side, and the same thing on this side. Hood's up a little bit. Hood has to be just tightened down a little bit. It's up a little bit higher than it should be, just a little bit. We'll take care of that. The anodized aluminum around the grill area in the front. No stone dinghies, marks, chips, nothing. Nothing's come up through the years and whacked this guy. The argent finish that came on these, it has like a silver sparkle to it. It's not just painted silver. It has a rough silver sparkle finish to it. Very rough. Just as fresh and clean as it could be. Both headlight buckets and the grill area. GTX designation in the center the way it should be. This is plastic in the center of the grill here. But it does have GTX designation on it. Filler panel in the front. No dents whatsoever and no chips in the paint from things being thrown up through the years. Absolute precise bumper fitment. And the chrome, there's no scuffs whatsoever on the front of this bumper. Absolutely none. No marks in the chrome at all. Absolutely none. It does have the standard power bulge hood on it. It does not have cold air induction system on it. That would have been an option. This car did not come with it. But it does have the correct style hood for the 1969 year. Parking lights in the front are amber, just the way they should be, and nice and clean and clear. Again, everything on this car in the front end lines up just the way it should. It cannot get any better than it does. Absolutely fantastic fitment. One adjustment for the hood, and that's all we found. Let's see what we can look at on the side. Okay, driver's side of our GTX. Again, 440 designation on the side of the scoops, the way it should be. Nice fitment of the side marker lamp, and you can see on a GTX, and they did it on a satellite too, if I remember correctly. They split it up a little bit to kind of make the car look not as large as it really is. They do have a piece of molding that goes around and then transitions onto a wheel of molding, and it runs the entire length of the car. And then below that, they painted semi-flat black to match the striping on the hood here. And there should be a red stripe underneath it too. I can't really see it from here, but I'm sure that there is going to be. And it coincides with the red line tires that were offered back in that day. The paint on this thing is absolutely to die for. It's absolutely great. All tin. Hood, once we adjust it, like I say, it's going to go down a little bit. The hood to the cowl area, to the front fender, to the door. Look at this. Especially the door. Look at this. That's amazing. Totally amazing. Trim around the front windshield. Correct wiper arms and blades on the car. The VIN tag still nice and clean and legible with the Chrysler designation on it. Looking down on the dash pad, it doesn't appear to have any irregularities in it, or cracks or breaks or anything in it, or fading. It's like a chocolate tan color, kind of the way chocolate gets in the refrigerator whenever you leave it in there. That's kind of the color of the interior here. Nice, actually, a very nice contrast between that and the outside. It's a creamy white. Where the dashboard transitions to the base of the windshield, there's no deterioration, no crap laying down in there, just as clean and clear as you'd ever hope to find. Correct style non-adjustable mirror for 1969. No patina at all on this chrome wing area, and usually that's what you do find on these, even along the bottom here, absolutely none. Nice, fresh, resilient rubbers on them. Obviously, it's got a convertible top, and Chrysler did not use that cheaper plastic material like canvas material. They actually used a heavy-duty, high-grade vinyl for their convertible tops. Lasted a lot longer, looked a lot better, and you could keep it a lot cleaner. Really looks great. There's no deterioration on the stitching or the side trim that's on here. That usually they crack, you know, from putting. One thing about convertibles, everybody says they have a manual top or a electric top. You can't put it down anyway whenever you're putting the top down. When you have it halfway down, you want to get out and you want to make sure you pull the convertible top material out so that it doesn't tuck under, and that's why you'll see in a lot of convertibles you see it start to crack here. People don't do that. They just sit in the driver's seat and put the top down and expect everything to go the way it should. It doesn't work that way. Anyway, the side glass, you know what I forgot to say? No, it is conventional glass. It's not tinted, does not have a sunshade fade to it. The window where it mates up to the convertible top is just as precise as can be. And look at this. The fitment of the front glass to the quarter glass, just as straight and nice and clean as can possibly be. New white whiskers installed on the tops of the doors and quarter panel. Can't tell if they're original or replacement, but the chrome on the door handles is just exemplary. Fitment of the door to the quarter, again, look at this. Totally amazing. We're really lucking out. Kevin's been finding some very high-end cars for us. GTX designation on the side again. And again, our molding, you can see transitioning down across the door, front part of the quarter panel, back onto our wheel lip molding, which, nice sharp edges. Same thing under there. And transitions the whole way to the back of the car, back bumper. Let's see. There's not a single imperfection. Still haven't found a chip, a scuff, a mark, a dent, any imperfection whatsoever. This trim that goes around the base of the convertible top, just as fresh and clean as you'd hope to find. Glass rear window. The boot for the convertible top is just folded over and it's in the back seat. It would be a tan boot. Side marker lamp in the back. About as nice as you'd ever hope to find. Nice fitment. There's not an imperfection in this car. Again, there's no doors on the car. It's just all a creamy white color till I get about right here. And I can see 2 door gaps there. That's it. 15-inch Kelsey Hayes wheels. They look like 8s in the back and maybe I'm going to call them 7s in the front. Donnie will give you the actual specs on them in our spec sheet with the car, but I'm just guessing it, kind of winging it. But they do have the correct centers on them. These were an optional type wheel in 1969 for the car. Kelsey Hayes made them. Plymouth called them road wheels. It does have the correct style red line tires that would have come on this car in 1969. It's just an absolutely knockout car so far. The whole front end of it, the paint, the fit, the finish, one little hold adjustment. That's it. I mean, it's just as fresh and clean a car as you'd ever hope to find. They're red line tires, but you know what? They're radials too. So most of these guys have bias ply tires on them, and the back tires are certainly a lot larger than the front. They are radials opposed to bias ply, so it's a car that you can actually take out and use and enjoy, and it'll handle substantially better than a bias ply tire that would have been original equipment in 1969 on this car. Let's go out back, see if there's something there for you. Okay, this is the tail section of our 69 GTX convertible. And again, look at the fitment of this guy. I don't have to touch this one. Plymouth designation on the back. Again, and again, you can't see it, but the finish on this vehicle is absolutely, you know, I'm going to call it show quality because it's so far above a driver quality paint job that there's no sense even putting that into the discussion. It's the fit, the finish, everything on this car is just exemplary. All the chrome is as it was when it was new. Your back section, and these usually are deteriorated. They have a lot of patina across them. They're chrome plated. This still has its argent finish in the center here, GTX designation on the back, and the chrome on it is absolutely flawless as it was in 1969 when this car was released. Tail light assemblies the same way. They do have their argent finish in them, nice rough argent finish, nice clean, clear tail lights. No patina whatsoever, absolutely none. Again, these usually have some type of deterioration from age on the chrome. This has none, zero. Another clear lens, bumper fitment, spot on, just like the front one. And again, no scuffs on it at all, absolutely none. No one's put their feet up on it or packages or anything from the trunks and scraping them across there through the years. The back bumper, no bingy dingies, nothing on it. Two backup lights, nice clear lenses, nice clear, clean bezels around them. The correct style tips that came out of these vehicles out the back end in 1969. The stainless tips that Chrysler put on them. Just a fantastic rear section on this car. Bumper fitment is the same as it was in the front, spot on. There's no deterioration or no imperfections in the chrome front or back or sides. Everything so far has been absolutely spot on. But we got one more side to go yet, so we'll see if we find something there. Okay, last side, passenger side, GTX convertible, obviously. Side marker lamp, same as the other two, just as nice fitment as can be. A nice precise placement of these moldings down the side. Again, the wheel lip. Nice tin everywhere, trim around the back of the convertible top or the base of the convertible top. And again, I think I mentioned glass window. And the top, by the way, is absolutely new. There's no imperfections in it whatsoever. It doesn't even appear to have ever been done, to be honest with you. I don't know that it has been. I'm sure it has been through the years, but it's just as fresh as can possibly be. The well area where the top goes down, the vinyl in there is just nice and clean, black and fresh, just the way it should be. GTX designation on the side. Again, our fitment, look at this. Look at this. Talk about precision. Leave it to Mopar. Again, the windows, look at this fitment. There's absolute precise fitment to the top and front window to the quarter glass. Just as straight and nice as can be. Window wipes, whiskers, new and precise fitting on them also. Again, no patina on this chrome section around the wing area. Door handle flawless, same as the other side. And I'm not going down below, but look at the door, the way it fits to the rocker panel, and then the front fender. Look at this. And look at the gap on it. You'll be able to see it from Devin's photos. But also, whenever we're going around this car, the video, you'll see that the gap is so precise front and back on these vehicles, on this vehicle. It's just as straight and nice as you could ever hope to make a panel fit. Trim around this side of the window, absolute precise. Correct style Mopar antenna. Look at this. Amazing. Chrysler Pentastar, I love when I see those on the car. Chrysler put them on their vehicles. And we're back where we started. Fourth marker light and precise fitment. It's 1969 Plymouth GTX convertible. It's an automatic. It has power steering. It's a great color combination. It's like a creamy, I don't know what to call it. I think it's called Alpine white, but it's a creamy beige white. It's not snow white like a lot of the whites are. This has like a creamy texture to it with a light tan interior. It gives it a lot of pop, a lot of contrast there. It does have the stripes on the hood. Got Kelsey wheels on it, red line tires. Absolute precise fitment on every panel. You can't find a nicer paint job than we just looked at here. We didn't find a single chip, mark, scuff, dent, imperfection, nothing. This car is as straight a car as you're ever going to find anywhere. It's a rare car. Very few convertibles were made in Roadrunners and GTXs. And this car is just an example of what Chrysler offered for a convertible in their Highline car in 1969. Again, the GTX came with a lot of amenities that the Roadrunner did not. It didn't have the side trim like this. It didn't have the back fascia the way this does. It didn't have the, well, you could get it as an option, but this car came standard with a console and buckets and automatic on the console or a 4-speed. Didn't come with a column shift. Unless you could get an option where you had a armrest that went down instead of the console that would flop down, and then you could get a column shift in it. That was an option. The car is just an exemplary 1969 GTX convertible. It's here at Hanksters in Daytona Beach, and we'd love everybody to come down and take a look at not only this car, but everything else we have. And Devin and I are trying to get these videos up. We looked yesterday, we had 39 videos on our site. We have 80 cars in the building. You know, we're trying to get them up, but the problem is that we're selling the cars as fast as we're trying to get these videos shot. We opened at 10 o'clock. Devin and I were here before 8 o'clock this morning, and we usually stay after 6 o'clock at night trying to get things done and try to get this stuff up, because if you can't see the cars, you don't know that we have them. And a lot of times, you know, I'll be presenting this car and somebody will say, well, we'll get a call about, well, what about that orange Chevelle, which we haven't shot yet? Or what about that Camaro or that Blazer in the background, which we haven't shot yet? There's so many cars in here that we have to do yet. We're trying our very best to get them up and present them to you. And that's why we do these videos, so that you can see what you're purchasing here at Hanksters. We'd rather show it to you in person and have you look at our entire inventory. But if you can't, that's why Devin's going to show you about 90 or 100 photos of that car and every other car that we do, so that you can just go over each photograph. And maybe you're going to say, oh, he missed something. There's a mark in that door. You're going to see it in the video. Maybe I didn't see it. But as I went around this vehicle, if there's anything, I don't know what the hell it would be, because I don't know how I could possibly miss it. The only thing I found was a slight hood adjustment, and that was it. So take a look at it. It's at Hanksters in Daytona Beach, Florida. Well, interior of our 1969 Plymouth GTX convertible. Sun visors, no stitching coming loose, nice and resilient, nice padded yet. Day-night mirror, no milkiness whatsoever in it. Padded dash that we saw from the outside is just as nice on the inside as it was when we looked at it from the outside. Just as nice and clean and clear as can possibly be. Again, a lot of the stuff that you see in a GTX you don't see in a Roadrunner. All this chrome trim around the dashboard, plus the wood grain through the dash, plus the wood grain on the sides of the doors, and in the back, and on the console. Just everything is well detailed out as you could possibly hope to find something. The steering wheel is a wood grain style wheel and no cracks whatsoever in it, absolutely none. The tri-spokes are they're split and polished. They're usually satin finish. It looks like someone polished these. The speedometer enclosure, all your gauges, just nice and clean and clear as you could ever hope to have them. Wheel style radio, I don't know if it works yet or not, but we'll tell them whenever we go for a ride. Again, all the trim and all the fitment on the dashboard just as nice and precise as you could ever hope to find. Glove box on the dash, and also one in the console for you to store things in. Somebody got them both locked. They two-tone a lot of this. You can see that there's light and dark, different shades of tan and chocolate brown in here. Again, you know, a lot of detail that Plymouth put in with the GTX that they did not do with the Roadrunners. This is a high-end vehicle in comparison to a Roadrunner. The headliner inside the vinyl convertible top is also new, and so are the pads. All your bracketry, your framework for the convertible top. You can't see it, but you'll probably see it in the couple pictures that Devin shows you. The framework is all satin black, just the way it should be from the factory. It cannot be any nicer. It looks like the day it was produced. All new felt pads for the convertible top, just the way they were made in 1969. Everything on this vehicle is just as clean and straight as can be. The rear window does zip out too, by the way. You can flop it down if you want. And then, of course, you can zip it back up in, but it is a hard window, so you know it does go down with the top. The lights in the vehicle, you have all your map lights. Where is it? Well, this guy doesn't have a map light. Oh. It does have the under dash lights. It does have your console lights for front passengers. The back has seat belts in it, and the front has seat belts in it. You couldn't get shoulder belts in a convertible. You know what? There's two lights in the back also. That's something I've never noticed because I never had a GTX convertible. Lots of hard tops, but no convertibles. It has two passenger assist lighting on each door panel in the back. It has a nice big armrest also, and carpet on the bottom of the back panels, just as it is on the bottom of the front. Really nice accents on this vehicle. Console is just as straight as can be. The wood grain on it is the same as it is on the dash. Totally undisrupted. There's no peeling whatsoever in it. No areas where it's starting to bubble or anything. You got trash trays in the back. You got a trash tray up front. Molded armrests in the front, and your associated hardware with it is all freshly chromed. Molded armrests in the back. Geez, I can't think of anything that there's nothing I can see that's out of place. The door jambs themselves look like the car was 1969, and I just sat in it, and I'm looking at inside the door jambs. Looks like it was freshly built. Nice resilient rubbers on it. Again, no patina whatsoever in the chrome area around the vent wings, which do actuate on these. You can't open and close the vents in this vehicle. There's absolutely nothing out of place on this. Stainless trim around your gas pedal, your brake pedal, and your parking brake pedal. GTX floor mats front and rear, and it has GTX designation in red to match all the other red accents on the outside. This is as straight and flawless a car as you could ever hope to find. It's certainly not a everyday vehicle. You just don't see GTXs or Roadrunner convertibles for that matter. They're very, very sparsely put around the country. There's very, very few of them. But this guy is as nice a one as I've ever seen. It has absolutely no defects in the paint. One hood adjustment. So far, the only thing we found was one hood adjustment. That's it. That's it. Got to take a look at this. This is at Hanksters in Daytona Beach, and this is just the way we got the car out of a collection, and it's just as precise a done car as you could possibly find, and it is a numbers matching car. Devin's going to give you all the pictures of the serial numbers on the engine, transmission, core support, build tag, and there's a breakdown of the build tag too. So it'll all be there for you to take a look at. Take a look at it at Hanksters in Daytona Beach, Florida. Okay, we're in our 69 Plymouth GTX convertible. Automatic, obviously. Does not have a remote mirror. It has a conventional door-mounted mirror. It has a horn that works just like it should. It has, let's see here, left turn signal functioning as it should. Right turn signal functioning as it should. We just fired it up. You can see the temperature gauge just starting to come up. alternator fluctuating just a little bit because it is charging. We just fired it. Gas gauge showing us, well, we're not empty, but we're between empty and a quarter, a little closer to the empty side. Wipers, let's try wipers. Oh, that's the top. I don't think we want to do that. Wiper, let's try wiper. It's just starting to rain here now, so if you see a little smear, that's why. Radio. Radio is making noise, so it's trying to work. Radio is trying to work. Okay, let's see what else we got. That's it. Let's go for a ride, see if this guy works the way it should. I'm sure it will, judging from the rest of it. We've got another really nice tight car here. Been really locking out on these guys lately. When I get up over this lump here. Okay, there's no hand steering, going down the road straight as could be. Still no hands, just going down the road straight. There's nobody behind me, so we're going to try brakes, no hands. See what happens. Straight as an arrow. How much better can it get? It's a nice cruising car. The steering is very precise. Somebody can do pitman on, do idler arm on it, do tie rod ends, so everything on the steering system is just as taut as can possibly be. The car, as you can hear and see, that there's no shake, shimmy, squeaks, rattles, and absolutely nothing. Just a tight running car. And don't forget, it's a convertible too. And we still don't have any squeaks and squawks on this thing. So, I mean, that has something to be said about it itself, you know, the fact that a convertible, because usually you do get some inherent squeaks and groans from the convertible. This has none. There's traffic all over the place today, but we'll try to give this thing a little bit of a shot here. These guys get a little bit ahead here. About 80, so we'll shut her off there. Nice running car. It pulls just like it should. It shifts nice and clean and crisp, just like a 727 should. And you can see we were still in second gear at 80 miles an hour before we went into high. So the car pulls just as though it should. Nice tight car. Mechanically, this thing's as sound as you're ever going to find one. There's no issues as far as structurally. Underneath it, we showed you the entire perimeter of the car. I can't find a single thing wrong with this car. Nothing. Absolutely nada. Nice car. Nice car. You're in the market for a Plymouth Gtx and you want some rarity, take a look at this one as a convertible. Now, we do have another one that we're going to be presenting up shortly here. It's a silver hardtop in a 4-speed car with a Dana, 354 Dana in it. All original car. Same as this one. All numbers correct. Everything matching the same way it should. Just originality. So that one's going to be coming up here shortly. It's getting buffed out right now and detailed, but as soon as we get it back, Devin and I will do a shoot, and you'll have 2 GTX 69s to choose from. One hardtop, one convertible. One 4-speed, one automatic, one silver, one white, both console buckets, both highly optioned cars too, and both documented cars. So got some neat stuff to look at here. And not only these cars, when you're on the Hanksters website, take a look at some of the other cars too. Even though we only have, I think Devin's going to have about 42, 43 up here shortly. We just did 2 yesterday and 2 today. But he's going to show we have a little over 40 cars. There's 80 cars in the building. So we're trying to get these up as soon as we can, but it's just difficult to do. We're selling them as fast as we can video them, and so it seems like at 40, we're stuck there. But take a look at Hankster's website, because there's this vehicle and a heck of a lot more for you to take a look at and consider. Nice car. This is the undercarriage of our 1969 Plymouth Gtx convertible. Really a rare car. Very few of these guys around. This thing has so much originality. I'll go through it real quick because there's not too much to tell you other than it is an original car underneath and correct numbering. Engine, transmission, rear differential, everything is correct on this car. It has new rubbers, new sway bar links. It looks like the Pitman arm has been replaced on the power steering. The idler arm is definitely fresh and new. Same as the tie rod ends, ball joints, new associated hardware for the brakes. Drums in the front and drums in the rear. It's not a negative on a Mopar. There are 11 by 3 drums in the front, 11 by 2.5 in the rear. They stop better than the discs did in 1969, for sure. The subframes on this thing is just as nice as you could ever hope to find. The sections, the torque boxes in the front on a convertible only, where the fenders transition down onto the subframes, are just as fresh and nice as can be. No one's made any attempt to put a jack stand or jack it up through there, from there through the years. There's absolutely no points that I can tell you that there's a jack stand or a jack been put on here, not on the subframe. So they must have used the cradle in the front, and it's not dented up either. Usually they have a little bit of a curvature. This one does not. So we got 11 by 3s in the front, 11 by 2.5s in the back. Steering box is nice and fresh. It is not leaking. The engine has been out and freshened, I'm sure. It is a numbers correct motor, date code correct engine. No leaks whatsoever on it, the bell housing area, or the 727 tranny that's in this vehicle. The tail shaft is also leak free, and so is the speedometer drive. New U-joint in the front. I want to call these they're probably 2 1/4. They're probably 2 1/4 primary pipes coming off the standard equipment cast iron exhaust manifolds that this guy came with. It does, however, have all the original splatter sound deadener that Chrysler incorporated on these cars back in that era. It wasn't a rust preventative. It wasn't a rust proofing. It was actually a sound deadener. It's a fibrous material to help isolate a lot of the road noise from the passenger compartment. Still intact on this vehicle. You can see it on the floor pans, pinch wells where the floor pans transition onto the rocker panels. Everything is still evident there, just the way it was when this car was produced. The park and brake is still original and functional. The brake lines also, same thing, original and undisrupted. Fuel line, this would have 2 fuel lines on it. A return line also, and they're still the original fuel lines on it also. They're still on the original fixtures that affix them to the inside of the subframe. Torque boxes in the rear for the front part of the mount of the springs, the leaf springs in the rear, just as nice as can be. They did put a jack or a jack stand here. There's a little tiny bit of a curvature on the torque box itself. And the same thing on this side, on the outer portion of it. Again, it doesn't compromise any of the structural integrity of this vehicle at all. It's just normal wear through the years. You know, these cars were jacked up and serviced, and you know, through the years, this is what happens. And you see a little tiny bit of wear or usage, and that's what I'm pointing out to you there. The subframes themselves have the same splatter sound deadener on them that Chrysler installed. Leafs in the back, a 6 on the driver's side, 7 on the passenger side, 440 to compensate for torque bias on it. 8 3/4 heavy-duty Chrysler rear end, 727 automatic. Even the 4-speeds couldn't break these guys, so an automatic doesn't have a chance of breaking it. Forgot to mention new shocks in the front, new shocks in the rear. These are air shocks in the back of the car. I don't know if they have any pressure on them or not. The car has a nice stance to it. It has a nice posture to it right now. So I don't know if it'll work or not. If there's any air in them, it's not very much. But fin drums in the rear. The gas tank is, I'm going to call it the original tank. It doesn't look as though it's been replaced, but it also doesn't have any dents or dinghies or any wear whatsoever on it, you know, any scuffs or scratches. The subframes where they transition up over the differential and go toward the back, there's absolutely no wear whatsoever on them as far as deterioration. I mean, obviously there's not where nobody's playing with them under here. But the trunk floor itself appears to be getting eaten alive by mosquitoes out here. But the trunk floor itself appears to be original, and it's undisrupted also. Drop downs in the quarters are definitely original, and they're just as nice and fresh as could possibly be. The supplemental subframes that go off to the outside of the main subframe structures, where the spring perches are attached, just as nice and rust-free and deterioration-free as you could ever hope to find. I'm going to call them 2 1/8-inch pipes going out the Flowmaster mufflers. That's what's on the Flowmasters. I think I did mention a new U-joint in the back also. But I'm going to call them 2 1/8 going into the correct style Mopar stainless exhaust tips that would have been standard equipment on this vehicle. So you have an original car underneath. It looks like the day it was left out of the stable by Chrysler Corporation, and no leaks whatsoever at this point anyway. But it's not to say that a year or two down the road it's a muscle car, so there's probably going to be a drip on a garage, but there isn't at this point. Everything underneath the car has originality. The sound deadener is still intact. There's been no places that suffered any trauma at all in this vehicle, and we've been around it, in it, and under it now. So the only thing we have left to do is drive it. And originality. It's a 1969 GTX Convertible. Very rare car. Made very few of these guys. And it's as nice a vehicle as you could ever hope to find, both fit, finish, and integrity-wise. So take a look at it. It's Tanksters in Daytona Beach.